This is Savio. I've been seeking answers to some of life's most perplexing questions my entire life. In 2014, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, and ever since, I realized my calling existed outside of what I knew to be familiar. This podcast is your home for survivors like myself and those who are searching to find meaning to their why. In Season 2, the show includes a mix of coaching sessions followed immediately by interviews with those from all walks of life who have been successful in the business, marketing, coaching, and financial worlds. The intent is to show the human experience in its rawest form so that others may glean insight. Nothing is rehearsed or has been edited. As a board-certified wellness coach, my job is to ask the deep questions of those trying to make sense of their place in this fractured world. I believe life speaks to us in different ways. Many of us listen but don't know how or where to begin. As someone who has crossed the bridge between life and death, I say simply, begin where you are now and get busy living. If you liked today's episode, I would appreciate it if you could share it and subscribe. Be sure to tag me at The Human Resolve so I can reciprocate in kind. So without further ado, welcome to the Human Resolve podcast. What if you've been an observer of fun, but rarely ever shared in its joy? Jessie Lucas can relate deeply to this feeling. On a search to find its true meaning, she endeavors to feel safe again so she can savor those moments when they do appear. Hi, Jessie. It's good to see you.
Hi, Savio. Good to see you too.
Great. So what would you like coaching on today?
So this, I don't know, this would be an interesting one for me for sure. When you asked me this, first of all, I will put out there, I'm not the most coachable person, so good luck to you. My word of the year this year is fun. And I chose that word because I realized I was in quite a lack of fun. I'm a big lover. I have a big heart. I have a lot of good things going for me in my life, but I have not been having a lot of fun. And, New Year's was a good many months ago, and I have hit a lot of walls in this exploration around fun. So that's my topic, is fun.
So what I'm hearing is that you've hit quite a few walls, and the idea of fun or the experience of fun is not something you've been having, correct?
Correct, yes.
So what would be a fantastic outcome for today regarding this topic?
I think a fantastic outcome would be kind of feeling a sense of, not to be cheesy in the coaching world, but like breakthrough around feeling like I have a greater understanding of my own access to fun. That maybe like another way to put it would be like the world opened up a little bit, or I feel a little more at ease around the possibility of greater fun, experience of fun for me. So I guess a sense of greater access to fun.
So an outcome would be a sense of greater access to fun.
Sure.
So when you think of fun, what are some descriptions or adjectives?
This is one of the ways I knew I needed to work on this, because when I kind of thought about that, leading up to this year, I was like, well, what do I do for fun? And I couldn't really come up with a lot of things. Like I said, I have a lot of good things going in my life. And then I took that a step deeper, and I was like, well, what even is fun for me? And I felt so distant from even being able to describe it. But I guess in exploring that now that I've had a little bit of chance to sit with it a little bit longer and work on this exploration for a little while, some adjectives that come to mind are joy, ease, delight, maybe playfulness, although I don't consider myself a very playful person. And as I've explored fun, I can think of things that I maybe think are fun that aren't necessarily playful. Happiness. Yeah, that's my first list of adjectives.
So joy, ease, delight. Has Jessie experienced that ever in her life?
I think so. I think so.
All at the same time?
Joy, ease, and delight all at the same time. Um, I'm going to give you a definite maybe on that. Maybe we could circle back around to that. I know there's been times when I'm, in a conversation or a networking group and or like doing some sort of personal development exercise, and people like, think of a time where you were just like, and fill in the blank. Maybe let's fill in the blank with those three adjectives. And I'm like, holy crap, like nothing comes to mind. And I'll tell you, your listeners, I'm really not a like overall dark and miserable person, but have I experienced those all at the same time? Joy, delight, and ease. Probably.
Probably. Could you think of a time that happened?
Yeah, I can. Now I can.
Okay. Do you want to give me some details?
Sure. The most sparkly one, the one that just kind of came to mind that really just put those all together is like the moment I met my now partner of many years. The first moment I like,
Wow.
well, our little love story is super cute, but the first time we laid eyes on each other, I just saw her and I was like, that's it. That was the feeling combo right there. 1, 2, 3, bang.
And what was the sensation in your body during that time?
Oh gosh, I was literally like my heart was pounding so much so like when I lived up in the mountains at the time, and I knew she was coming over and to meet for the first time, and we had a couple of conversations before, and my heart, so I up my driveway was really steep, so you could hear somebody's vehicle before you could see the vehicle. So I heard the vehicle coming up the driveway, and my heart was pounding so hard. And I'm a yoga teacher and have been a yogi for many years. I'm like, man, none of my yogi breathing techniques are going to slow down this pounding heart. I was like afraid to give her a hug because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to like push her away with this beating heart of mine. That's the biggest physical sensation I remember. It's just like a really excited, anticipatory kind of heartbeat feeling.
And you mentioned that experience was fun. What were some other things that experience was for you?
Exciting, for sure. I think I just used that word, exciting. This is kind of like maybe, not a one-word description, but maybe like a sense of like arrival or a sense of like me-ness, M-E-N-E-S-S, like a sense of me, this is my truth, my me coming out, versus like, when I feel like stressed or anxious or some other things that are not so fun, it feels like I'm kind of separated from myself. So a sense of selfness is definitely a happy moment that I definitely could say I've sensed happiness in that moment.
When you think of adding more fun in your life, is it something you do solo or something you would do with someone else?
Both. I think definitely both.
Would you be open to your partner joining you in fun activities?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Do you, when you think of sort of doing a dual session with her, whatever activity that's involved, how does that like, what's that entail?
You mean like what, just when we do something together, like go do an activity? It's interesting. A lot of my lessons around fun kind of come from her. She's an athlete, and watching her in her sports, I see this sparkle. I see this, like I see that delight. I see it. And it is something we do together, so to speak. Like, if she's playing anything, like I'll go as the little sideline person. And, there is definitely a shared joy experience, but it's different, right? Because her experience in playing is different than mine observing, and I can certainly tell that like she gets that direct hit of like that's fun for her, and mine, I'm like, well, I enjoy being here. I like, I'm happy to be the supporter, all that, but it's not that like I don't get that direct hit of joy. Then another example, and I can say, back to that question of like when I was like, oh, I'm sure I've experienced that before. My last birthday this past spring, we took a helicopter ride. I've never been on a helicopter before. And so that's something we did together. And that was certainly a shared fun experience. That was a little more even. While it wasn't her first helicopter ride, it was her first helicopter ride, like just for pleasure, for, no other reason. And it's easy to share experiences with her for the most part. And, we're different people, experience different things. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm trying to sort of figure out for you, what does fun even mean? Like, how does it even play a part in your life?
I'm trying to figure that out too.
I mean, is it something that you want as an additive, or do you want something to replace?
I think that one side of it is maybe like a deeper topic of work, of just working on like happiness in general. I, like many people, carry around some trauma, carrying around some anxiety, and I've done some things in this past year to really intentionally improve on that level. And even just recently, even the last couple of weeks, I have felt like the baseline lift a little bit. And I think that alone will help me on this endeavor of fun. So I think on one level, I'm looking to feel a sense of like normal everyday things being fun, like cooking dinner with the family, or reading my book in the sun on my deck, like drinking my tea, like little simple things. But I also think that I am seeking an additive, like doing things just for the sheer fact of them being fun. Like kind of like my honey goes out of her way to do her sports ball things just for the sake of it's fun. And I think I've come a long way, because I was a single mom for many years. There's a whole other story of like many, many, many layers of things that kind of blocked my capacity for fun, or dampened it, or cut me off from it. And I've taken a lot of time to start peeling through those layers. But part of it was like, well, there's no time or space in my life, like to just go do something for the sheer funness of it. I think it also probably taps into like self-worth. I have all of these responsibilities, all of these things I have to do, I have to make ends meet, I have to, all of these other things, that if I'm just going to do something for the sake of fun, well, then I'm taking away from something that I'm responsible for taking care of. So I think I've gotten over that quite a bit, but I'm sure those roots still kind of get me. But I'd say it's both, just kind of a foundational fun in the simple things, the simple everyday things, and fun as an additive for just sheer, I'm going to go do this thing because it's fun.
Oh, I would love to parse out some of this. Is fun equal to happiness?
I wouldn't say fun is equal to happiness. No, I think fun may be a contributor, one of many, but I wouldn't say they are equal or the same.
Do you feel that fun for you is in short supply?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you feel that if you gave more to fun, something has to give?
I would say if you asked me that even as soon as or as recently as maybe a month ago, I would have said yes. if I give more to fun, something has to give. But I think something recently has shifted, and I think my now honest and authentic answer would be no. If I give more to fun, something doesn't have to give.
You
But
know, you
that's
spoke
a new kind of revelation.
you spoke about, your children and sort of seeing the fun in their eyes or their experiences. How do you think you could add a little more of that in your own life?
That's the question, Savio. I've been trying to answer that question. I haven't answered it yet.
So, what? Give me some examples of what's fun for your kids.
I don't know that I mentioned specifically observing their fun. I know I mentioned my partner and her sporting activities is fun. My one son, he plays pickup volleyball with his friends. That's fun for him. They do Pokemon Go. That's fun for them. That is not going on my fun list. I will tell you that right now. Not my idea of a good time. And I think that's one of the things when I've been an observer of fun, both with my kids. I mean, my kids are older and a blended family now, and two younger kids. So even with the littler ones, and of my sweetie, and of our friends, and the other, I've been an observer of fun. And one of the things I realized is a lot of the things people do for fun, either I just like the windows have been shut for me. Like I just don't see it. Maybe it will or will become fun for me, or it just those things aren't fun for me.
What's your view on someone who basically all day long just has fun, just doesn't take their work seriously? They laugh and giggle, and they play games, and they eat whatever they want, and they have a very laissez-faire type of attitude to life. Like, do you consider that person is having fun?
It's a really nuanced question. It's hard to say. I don't know that I can just kind of answer that in a blanket way. I know that, when I encounter people who really fun is a huge part of their life, whether or not they take their work seriously or whatever. I have in the past at least felt a twinge of jealousy. I can say that. As far as, judging hey, is that fun? I don't know. I think if I look at that kind of quality of characteristics that you just described, I think it could easily go either way. I think depending on the person, those could be bypassing mechanisms. Maybe they're doing, and I've certainly known people like that are, so much effort goes into the play, fun, laissez-faire, all of that. And there really isn't joy and happiness behind it. There may be a superficial joy and happiness, but not a real and authentic one. And now, I mean, I'm hanging out with some really amazing people that I am learning from and watching and observing and looking at, who's living the kind, just even in bits and pieces, learning the kind of life I would want to live. I'm happy, my life is good. But there's growth. And I look at that, and I've met some people who really have a lot of fun, spend a lot of their days having fun, but whatever there is, if it's their work or their purpose or, something, there is something authentic behind it. And that's really appealing to me, that combination. So I guess I couldn't answer that question in a blanket way, because I think it could show up either way, and I would probably feel differently depending on kind of some of those other layers behind it.
So if you increase your fun factor, what would that bring? Would that bring more joy, ease, and delight in your life, or would that bring something else?
I'm hoping that my intention here in Fun 2021 being the exploration that hopefully carries over into all of my years beyond, that yes, that it would bring more joy, delight, ease, happiness.
And is that realistic?
I think so. I do believe so.
Yeah. Have you ever asked your partner how does the act of fun sort of play into her own life?
Yeah, we definitely had talks about that.
Is there any words of wisdom that she has for you?
We have a cute little saying. Well, just try harder. We say that about a lot of things when like something's not working or not going well, or there seems to be roadblocks. And she says, well, just try harder. And it's a little bit, joking, but like not in a condescending way. But also it's like, well, in a don't give up kind of way. And I know she has my back in that, but I also know, kind of like her athletic ability, some things that just come naturally. Like even though I work in the fitness field and in the body field, and I am capable in my body, and I know a lot of things about the functions of the body. I'm not an athlete, I'm not athletic, and I don't do sports ball things. And it's just kind of natural as far as fun goes, that that fun comes a little more natural. So in her words of wisdom, it almost doesn't translate because she doesn't have the same kind of nature base that I do, and doesn't have the same experience of the kinds of things that have kind of taken me down and built up some walls around it. But she did find me the helicopter ride for my birthday. She gets points for that one.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned your partner, and you mentioned one of your children playing Pokemon Go, and it's a lot of physical activities. Can fun be something on an emotional level?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I say the word fun to you, where does that reside in your body?
Honestly, all over. This is the first time I've been asked that question or even thought about it in that way. So I just, kind of closed my eyes and felt into it. And a lot of times when I do explore a concept, like it does land locally, and I consider myself pretty body aware. Like I have access to my body wisdom and sensations. And when I just tuned in about where does fun reside in my body, it was literally kind of everywhere. Like there was a sense of kind of like deep satisfying feeling, like in my like gut and belly and sacral area. And then there was a kind of like heart-filled like joy kind of sensation. There was even like almost like tingly effervescent sensation in like my fingers, and there was like a reaching kind of feeling in my arms. So there were different sensations in different locations, but like I could go on there even in just that little like snapshot body moment, which kind of tells me that fun isn't, and I think I understood this before, now I just kind of have a somatic understanding of this, but like it isn't just one defined feeling or emotion or sensation or experience, but it could be many. It could be high energy, low energy. It could be whatever. It could be a lot of different things, which is exciting because that opens up options.
Well, you mentioned that you're body aware. Would you like to tune into it some more and see what
Sure.
you come up?
I'm open to that.
Yeah. Do you want to take a couple of breaths in and out? Just want you to sense and feel into whatever's coming up for you. Is there an image or a sound?
Almost just kind of feels like it's the best way to describe it, is like blank slate, which is good because when I've kind of tuned in around this topic before, I get like a lot of like constrictive type feelings, a lot of like just like blocked, like nope, nowhere to go. So it almost feels like almost like a void, like I don't know, like there's not really any like good information nuggets or like anything to really kind of grasp onto, like insights from the body. But I'm noticing like I don't have the same kind of constrictive block feeling that I have for as long as I can remember.
This blank slate that you mentioned, can you describe it?
It just feels kind of really neutral. Like kind of still and smooth and I guess open. I would throw open in that description. But not, I don't like feel a lot of motion. I don't feel any really specific types of sensations. So maybe neutral, smooth, open, quiet.
Neutral, smooth, open, quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever experienced this in your life before, this feeling?
Yeah, I still do have a light now meditation practice, and a lot of my practice is now more moving meditation. But for many years, kind of started petering out when I had my first kiddo, who's now 20, so about 20 years ago. I had a really steady, just seated, silent meditation practice for many years, and I'd say that those descriptors, when I heard you reflecting them back to me, reminded me of kind of what I would feel then when I was practicing that seated silent meditation frequently.
If fun was a friend, what do you think it wants from you?
Company to do something.
Company to do something. Is it the fun needs you or you need the fun?
Both.
Is the fun willing to meet you halfway?
I think so.
Yeah. So how Jessie, how do we get closer to the fun right now?
So like you keep touching like the ends of my tethers here of like, where as far as like I've been able to explore, how do we get closer to the fun?
You mentioned that you saw a blank slate, and you've experienced that through meditation sometimes.
I think this is the point where like I want an answer, and I just sat for a moment to listen inwardly, and so far the little fun gods aren't giving me any little hints of how to move closer. I can maybe this will give me some hints. I mean, I've made some decisions recently, even just like health-wise, self-care-wise, things that I was looking at, well, what could be in the way of me experiencing fun, and I have made some changes. So I think that, and I'm talking like ongoing, but even very recently, within the last couple of weeks, even some newer changes. And I think that is one thing, an action step maybe I've already just barely started to take to move in the direction of fun. I have a sense that there's a rightness there, that there's that's a good part of it as far as moving closer to fun, but not all of it. And as far as now what to move closer to fun, I'm just still getting blanks here.
Do you believe that you deserve to have fun?
I do.
And why is that?
because why not? Um, I I think I believe that fun is a just part of the human experience. I believe that we have this incredibly miraculous world, this planet that we live on, this universe that we live in, these hearts that get to feel our own feelings and in relationship with others, all kinds of relationships. And I think, or I keep saying I think, but it really is a belief. I believe that one of the kind of life-giving, I mentioned, Pokemon Go is not my deal with fun. Watching my kids play video games, one thing I do know, you do certain things and then you get life points, like your life level goes up. So I believe that, fun for any of us as humans, and I do believe, fun gets to look very different for any of us humans, whatever age and stage and part of the world we live in, whatever our purpose, our mission, whatever. But I believe that fun is one of those things in real life, not video game life, that gives you life points. And if the goal at the end of the game, this whole game of life here, is to finish your quest and have high life points, fun is one of those things that does that for us. So why not me too?
So how can you hold yourself accountable for why not you too?
One of the things is definitely, staying steady with the health and self-care choices that I make and really continue to reevaluate them. One of the things I can do, which is very anti-fun sometimes, is get very stoic and serious about things, even things like self-care choices and health choices, make them and then I'm very serious about them and stoic about them, which is no fun for anyone. But really evaluate them and through kind of a lens of fun and say, like, okay, these are the things I'm doing because they are waking up my cells, my body to the potential, my physical body, my emotional body, my mindset, like how I take everything in, all of it, through that lens of does this facilitate my access to fun versus my moving away from or blocking or something that's going to decrease my potential to experience fun. So that's one thing I can keep myself accountable for is, my health choices and self-care choices, but specifically with that caveat that I'm not doing so in that stoic, serious, anti-fun way. I think another thing, and this is a harder thing for me to hold myself accountable to, is being open and willing to try things that I think that's dumb. I'm not going to think that that's fun. Because usually, like, that's my thing. Like, I'll look at something and I see this group of people. Like, I just got back from a family vacation, and it's a multi-family vacation, and they play a lot of games. This group of people on this vacation, strategy games, character play games, and I'm the consistent observer, and sometimes I like watching them. I like seeing how everything plays out, but I'm like, this doesn't seem fun for me. On the very last night, up way past my bedtime, someone said to me, like, Jessie, I would love to see you play this game. Like, you watch this game, all the strategy, all the characters. Like, I'm really curious how you would play it, given that you have this like kind of omniscient knowing about this game. And I said to myself, I'm like, why not? Like, if we play and I don't like it, I don't ever have to play again. Like, nobody, like, it's fine. And I have to admit, and it's probably the first time, Savio, that I'm admitting this out loud, I did kind of like it.
Ah.
I did kind of like it. And so much so that we were on Amazon last night. We ordered the game to have it here at our house. But I think, I have tended to get very judgy. Like, that's not fun. This isn't fun. That's not going to be fun for me. And to really just, I guess, do what I did that night with that game and say, like, you know what? Try it. Have the physical, personal, experiential experience of it. Maybe it'll be fun. And if it's not, it's okay. Oh, well. But I'm curious too, like, what else? Like, what else can I do besides just kind of like making sure I'm taking care of myself and being open and less judgy? What else can I do to welcome more fun?
Earlier you researched the body. I'm just curious, what does it all mean now for you?
What does what all mean?
Yeah, you researched the body earlier, and you mentioned that you sort of felt less constriction that you normally do, or less restriction that you normally do. How, and speaking about fun and sort of this topic, what does this all mean?
Yeah, one of the reasons why I thought this would be an interesting conversation is because I have had some very recent shifts on this level. As far as this body wisdom that I have in my both personal and professional understanding of it, I've done a lot of work to, for lack of a better term, rewire my nervous system, rewire my subconscious patterns around some pretty deep, dark, and ugly trauma that I've been carrying around for a good 2 decades now, which is almost half my life. And I think that one of the things it means is I have turned the gears, that this operating system, if you will, of kind of my subconscious patterns around this trauma, how it was still dictating how I operate. When I go to experience something new, is it scary or is it exciting? Is it nerve-wracking or is it anticipatory? Like all of these things that on the level of your nervous system operates. People have probably heard this before. Like fear and excitement has the same biochemical reaction. It's just really the context around it, your perception, your story around it that tells you which one it is. Is it fear or is it excitement? And I think that, me noticing that this lack of constriction, all of those stories that were very real for a very long time. And then even when the stories changed, my operating system didn't change. It's my subconscious was still telling those old stories. And so my body was reacting to those old stories, even though the situations had changed. And I think that, for one thing, that definitely cut me off from a lot of fun because I was operating in trauma response and in a lot of fear and anxiety and all the not fun stuff that comes along with that happened for me. But I think what this lack of constriction tells me is that, oh my gosh, like, girl, it's safe to have fun now. Like that, I'm standing on a different foundation. I'm standing on a different platform, one where fun is accessible. I might not know what I'm doing. I might not know how to find it. I might be awkward and flounder on my way to discovering what's fun for this Jessie. Because if we were looking, not that I haven't had any fun in the last 2 decades, but it's certainly been overridden a lot by this trauma that I've been carrying around. And before that, I was barely a young adult and then a kid. So at 43, it's going to look a little different. But I think that lack of constriction tells me, it's funny, Savio, you must be a little genius here, because what did I say in the beginning? I said I wanted a sense of access to fun. And I think that lack of constriction is telling me exactly that the access is there. And it's telling me that from a somatic level, which is a place I can believe versus just, telling myself like affirmations or something like, I'm ready for fun. Like I gotta get a hit from someplace deeper. And I think that lack of constriction is that hit.
That was beautifully said. I love that. I think this is a great way to sort of segue into our interview portion. So tell my listeners more about Jessie Lucas and your genius.
Now that I've convinced you I'm the least fun person on the planet, part of my genius, I guess, is exploring actually a term came to me in a conversation just yesterday that I hadn't used before, and I'm going to use it now, the somatic storage. So the body storage of your life's experiences, good, bad, ugly, all of it. My background, I'm a yoga teacher and personal trainer. I've dipped into some hands-on body work, and I've been doing that. I started that career path at the same time I started my parenting path, and all of this, so going on 20 years now. And about 10 years ago, I had a really crazy cool experience when I was, I guess it was maybe about almost 15 years ago now. I was adding the personal training, the fitness component to my service repertoire. I had just been teaching yoga and working in that space for a while. And it was a time when I was leaving the situation in my life that had created a lot of this trauma that I've been carrying around. And as my personal life was really changing, as I was also growing and developing my professional life, I had this, I guess, cathartic, if you will, moment where I was lifting weights, practicing for this personal training certification. And mind you, I was a skinny little string bean, a yogi, and still a skinny little string bean yogi. Lifting weights very unfamiliar to me, so I would like hide in weird corners of the gym so nobody would see me because I felt really silly doing it. And I had this moment where I was lifting these weights, and all of a sudden, I just had this like, "Ooh, I feel strong," and it was like, what was that? Who was that? What's happening? Because that was not an inner thought. I realized how foreign that thought was to me, and I realized in that moment how not strong I had felt given the circumstances I had been living in and was leaving. And I was like, oh my gosh, like my meditation, my yoga, my supportive friends, my affirmations that I was very diligent about, like all of these things didn't give me that deep sense of strength. I think that was my exploration then, like fun is my exploration now. A sense of who am I, and inner strength and self-worth had been very damaged and was my exploration then. And it came in this surprising delivery of lifting weights. And so eventually I came back to that moment. So I developed that part of my career. I had a great time training athletes, and one of my favorite niches there is just getting people out of pain, helping with muscle imbalances, chronic stress and tension in the body, people who were kind of afraid to work out, people who had been like post-op, that they had like graduated from physical therapy but still needed help moving, functional movement. Love all of that. But I came back to that moment because I thought to myself, like, I have done all of these things, therapy, all of it. And this healing that I needed was deeper. It was this somatic storage. It was in my body. And so I went back to grad school and studied that, kind of flipping the whole mind over matter thing to matter over mind. Like what happens, and not to discount the mind over matter, all amazing. But I think some people, if you're stubborn like me, you need another avenue to come in so your brain kind of gets it in a really true and authentic way. And that was the study that really created the bones for the work I've been doing for the past 10 years now, which is embodied movement or embodied movement training. And what I do there is I take people, mostly women, but a few brave men and others who have some sort of somatic storage that they need to work through and need to work through from a new and refreshing angle. They have a kind of methodology: release, realign, strengthen, refine, that we take people through and kind of work in that way, whether they're trying to work on something like I was, something kind of on the like self-worth, self-empowerment, maybe anxiety or trauma response kind of thing, or they haven't run in 10 years and they want to start running again, or they have been trying to lose weight or some other sort, or have frozen shoulder, or something physical that they keep running into dead ends trying to fix and find relief. And then most recently, because I think there is a place for a field, I have created a professional development course around that same body of work. So the intention there is to teach other wellness professionals from different fields, both movement and non-movement fields like psychotherapy and nutritionists and health coaches, this embodiment piece, this how to connect their zone of genius, the work that they do, the way that they serve people, and add this somatic storage element and teach them what they need to know in order to integrate that. So, honestly, that has been my fun, like working with those people, developing this work. I'm a diehard entrepreneur. My sweetie says you are one of those crazy ones who will work 80 hours a week to avoid working 40. And I don't work 80 hours a week because that's no fun. But this is purpose work and passion work for me. And I also dabble in cellular health and nutrigenomics and anything that will really help the functionality of the body from the most basic levels.
Any advice for, I can speak for myself, someone like me who's for the majority of his life has lived in his head. Any advice to go deeper into the body?
Yeah, absolutely. Know that you have one. I mean, I hear that all the time. Like, I live in my head and like, I don't even know that I have a body. And, there's just some fun little things. Oh my gosh, look at that. Fun little things that you can do just on a simple daily basis of just, I like to teach people kinesthetic intelligence. So if you think, okay, you live in your head, this is a sense of mental intelligence. A lot of people now are aware of this concept of emotional intelligence. You build your sense of kinesthetic or body intelligence by developing your sense of proprioception. So that's the end of the science lecture for the day. I'll try not to use any more nerdy words. But your sense of proprioception is literally just knowing where your body is in space. So if you, like Savio, live in your head or are disjointed, like maybe your body is sending you mixed signals. I know that's what mine was doing. Just practice noticing without a story the sensations in your body. So things like even like how you're sitting right now. Notice like where do you feel the pressure of your seat against whatever you're sitting on? Where are your feet? Do they feel heavy? Do they feel light? This is a good one. Notice, do you feel any what's called resting tension going on? Resting tension is like grip or tension that you can let go when you notice it, but it was holding so if I go and like I squeeze and make a fist, I know I'm holding tension in my fist, but I know a lot of my resting tension actually comes like in my facial muscles and my sinuses. A lot of people have resting tension in their neck and shoulders or their gut or their legs. So just notice, like if you do a little body scan, is there any place that I'm tensing that now that I think about it, I can release a little bit? So these are kinds of things to just noticing, like when you're doing the dishes, are you standing upright? Are you hunched over? If you're at your computer, you're on the phone up to your ears. Start noticing little body habits of yours that have been flying under the radar. And it's like one of those things, like once you see it, you can't unsee it. And the more you practice watching for these things, the more they'll start to come to your attention. And that starts to develop that sense of proprioception that leads to greater kinesthetic intelligence. And once you have that turned on, well, there's a whole world we can explore there.
What has been your biggest eye-opener in working with your clients?
The things that happen as an unraveling from unraveling these body stories. I've come to really realize that, I fully believe that embodiment, so really truly living in your body as a full experience that incorporates, living in your head, that incorporates that emotional intelligence, that incorporates relationality. I don't even know if that's a word, but how we live with others, whether it's the people in our home or the people we share this planet with. But the biggest eye-opener I've had is when you can kind of tip the scales of embodiment, really live more in your body with that heightened sense of proprioception and kinesthetic intelligence, what unravels from there naturally. I've had folks who have had physical gains, I mentioned frozen shoulder before, like releasing that frozen shoulder and the freedom that this person felt in their body, because now their arm didn't just lift a little, but they had full range of motion in their arm. the things they could do, the doors that opened, the things they said yes to because they had more freedom to live in their body because of that unlocking has been amazing. The things that, the confidence, the accomplishments, I think that we really are not only better for what we can do ourselves. I mean, look at everything that I've gone through. I wouldn't be where I was today if I didn't have that drop into my body moment that connected my kinesthetic and then emotional and then mental intelligence. I definitely wouldn't be exploring something as maybe, I don't want to say frivolous because I said it was essential, but frivolous is fun. That I really think it is the key to not only living our own best lives, but living our best lives together as a community on this planet.
I love that. So where can my audience find out more about you, your work, and everything you have to offer?
I would love to hear from your audience. So my website is Embodied Movement Training, altogether, embodiedmovementtraining.com. You will see my contact information there. You can fill out a little form if you want to have a chat. I always love hearing people's stories. My email is on there. I also have a growing Facebook group. So if you look up Embodied Movement Training, you'll probably find that, or you can shoot me a message and I can shoot that information over to you.
Well, this has been truly illuminating. Thank you so much, Jessie. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And thank you so much for opening that access to fun for me. I will not take it for granted. I will utilize that access with great honor. I appreciate your support, Savio.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Hi there. I really hope you enjoyed listening to today's podcast episode of The Human Resolve. If you feel that others may enjoy this episode as well, please share socially at The Human Resolve. They can also visit my website, thehumanresolve.com, where I offer one-on-one coaching sessions, daily prompts to move you in the right direction, sync directly to your smartphone, and a subscription to my weekly newsletter where I probe into the secrets from living smarter to feeding your 3 brains. If you could also help me out and give me a review and rating on this platform, because I do care what you have to say, I would really appreciate it. Now, get out there, my friends, and get busy living.